What skills helped you to grow faster than others in the same field?
So what is it that the company wants? What is it that I want is one thing, but what is it that the company wants? If you focus on that, rather than you going to the company and telling them this is what I can do, you should go to them and tell them what is it that you want, and then try to match with your skill sets whether you can deliver.
When someone should really start their own practice?
It's a very difficult question to answer. But one thing I will definitely tell you, someone who gets into a job and someone who is habituated to seeing X amount getting into his bank account on the first of every month, leaving that and starting his practice is very difficult.
Okay.
So you either have to do it at the beginning of your career or at a stage when
you're financially
absolutely settled.
Okay. Habibi, welcome to Dubai Katta. Today I am starting a new series on career and success. In this series, we will discuss with various successful professionals their journeys, their struggle, and their mantras for success. To do this, we have one very eminent personality from Pune. His name is Mr. Amit Apte. He is a cost and management professional, a CMA. I'll give his introduction in detail, but before that, let me introduce Mr. Amit Apte. Amit, welcome to Dubai Katta podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Amit, for taking your time. Just to give brief introduction on Amit, I have taken the printout itself because his profile is quite detailed and enlarged. So I'll just read out for you. Amit is a practicing cost accountant and a company secretary. He was president of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. He was chairman of WIRC, which is Western Region Council of CMA Institute. Then he is a founder and director of Levare Consultants Pvt Limited and Leeware Info Solutions Pvt Limited. He is a partner in Joshi and Apte Cost Accountants. He is a partner in Unique Valuers and Techno Financial Consultants. He is also on the panel and bodies of RBI committees, which is also covering areas like cost governance for banking. He is a rank holder in CMA exam. He is a register valuer, and apart from all this, he also enjoys trekking. He has done more than 10 Himalayan treks, which includes Mount Everest Base Camp. He also loves table tennis. He plays very well. In fact, I have seen playing table tennis in the past. So we have one all-around personality today. Please welcome again Amit Apte.
Thank you.
Amit, just to discuss, before we getting into all the details and the nitty-gritties about your journey, what inspired you to choose CMA as a profession?
Okay, so it's a long story. I will just tell you in very small detail. It was actually table tennis. So during my school days, I used to play table tennis a lot. And in fact, no one from my family, both from my father's side as well as my mother's side, are from the commerce or hardcore commerce professionals.
Okay,
okay. In fact, my father is a MTech from IIT. My uncle is a MD in psychiatry. And same from my mother's side, architects and doctors, even army guys. Since I used to play table tennis, I was a state player there. And if I opted for science, naturally I had to keep the table tennis career on the back burner. That was my thought process, and that's why I joined commerce stream. And when I joined commerce stream, there was practically no resistance from my family. And then I thought that maybe I will do the chartered accountancy course.
Okay.
That was how I entered the commerce stream.
Yeah.
After 12th standard, I met a very prominent, in fact, he was also an engineer from IIT, postgraduate from IIT Madras,
right,
and a cost accountant.
Okay.
One Mr. Avinash Joshi.
Okay.
So he actually introduced me to this it used to be called as ICWA at that time.
Right.
It was the Institute of Cost and Works Accountants.
Correct.
So he introduced me to this course, and he told me that perhaps this is something that you would like to do. If you want to do CA, that is in fact, at that time you could not do CA till you became a graduate.
Correct.
So by the time you become a graduate, after that you do CA. Instead, you can start this right now.
Correct. That must be very long, like 90s.
This was in 89, so I cleared my 12th standard in 1989, and then I enrolled for CMA. I passed the entrance exam for that, and then in 1992, along with my BCom, I in fact cleared the ICW exams at that time. So that's how I entered this, and in fact I never enrolled for CA ever after, because I loved this course so much that I have decided that I am going to do my career in the CMA profession.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I think
even though I did company secretary after that, but that was as an additional qualification. I never worked as a company secretary.
Got it. So probably you got the right guidance from the right person at the right time.
Right.
And the occasion was a table tennis game or match that you played. That's how you got connected with one eminent personality from the same field.
Right.
That's great to know. So what was your career like? Where did you come across any struggle in the initial phase? Any challenges?
So lots of struggles, frankly, because when I said that no one from my family was with a commerce background, no one from my family was also in the practice field, practice or own business.
Correct.
Mostly everyone was in their own jobs, or even my father was in the Indian MNC for a long time.
Correct.
Till he started his own practice at the fag end of his career.
Correct.
So what is exactly expected out of a practicing cost accountant or any practitioner was something which I never knew. So I did face a lot of problems at the initial stage of my career, but one more important thing which I did is that after I qualified as a CMA in the December 1992 attempt, I met another very senior cost accountant who is a practicing cost accountant here in Pune.
Okay.
He was also a Joshi, but Dhananjay Joshi.
Okay.
And I met him and I told him that I would like to practice on my own.
Okay.
So whether it will be possible to join your firm and seek some guidance. So I spent in fact 3 years with him, and I started my own practice only in 1996.
Okay. Yeah. I think that time it was also must, right? You need to have 3 years compulsory.
So to get the membership, 3 years of experience was must. But that experience could be anywhere. I could have taken up a job. In fact, I was a all India ranker in the final examinations.
Okay.
So I had multiple interview calls. In fact, I appeared for 3 interview calls. I got the appointment letters in 2 of them.
Okay.
But then I had already taken a call that I would like to do my own practice.
Okay.
So that is why I contacted the practicing cost accountant.
Okay. So that's good. Like you already have your vision clear in the beginning itself. Yeah. That's great to know. So, how did you get into this business or the consultancy business of the company called as Levare Consultants? What exactly are you trying to solve here through this company?
Okay, so in fact, this is a concept which was not there at that time at all. It's been around for the last 4-5 years. Government has been trying to push something called as the multidisciplinary partnerships.
Okay.
But at that time, that was late 1990s.
Okay.
The 3 professional institutes, that is the cost accountants, chartered accountants, and the company secretaries, have their own bylaws.
Correct.
And these bylaws prohibit member from one profession to enter into a partnership with any other profession.
Okay. So for example, if you are saying as a chartered accountant cannot be a partner with a cost accountant or a company secretary.
That's right.
Okay.
Not just that, he cannot be a practitioner also. He can choose only one profession to practice.
Okay.
So since I told you that I am a company secretary as well,
right.
I cannot be a practicing company secretary till the time I am holding a certificate of practice for the cost accounting.
Okay.
So whereas the industry's requirement always had multifaceted requirements, because industry doesn't really care. They say that I want this.
Yeah, they want output.
When they say I want this, how can we as professionals provide that if we are not qualified or to enter into partnership also with?
Correct.
So that's when this concept of Leeware Consultants Pvt. Limited came in.
Okay.
So we had a few friends right from the college days. We used to study together, and so a couple of us came together. He was a chartered accountant, I was a cost accountant. Both of us had already started our own practices.
Okay.
So we thought that why not create something wherein practically every service under the finance, accounts, costing, secretarial services and taxation can be given under the same roof.
Okay.
And all the professionals can join hands and give this service.
Correct.
So what is it that we cannot do under that? So practically only the certification work. Anything which is a statutory thing, like the statutory audits and certifications, is something which cannot be done under the company.
Correct.
But apart from that, practically everything can be done.
Okay.
And that's how we formed this company. And then since then, a lot of professionals have joined us. We have ensured that the framework of the bylaws of each of the institute is met, because they have some restrictions in the shareholding and the directorship positions as well.
Okay.
So we have ensured that that is taken care of.
Okay.
And we have appointed a full-time executive director in that company, and the company has been going very well. It's been almost 22 years now.
Oh, yeah. That's a long journey. So how many employees that you have now?
So we have a team of 55 to 60.
That's a big number.
As on date.
Yeah.
And plus there are a lot of about 20 to 25 associates.
Okay.
Who are all professionals.
Okay.
So depending upon the assignment, either we execute it ourselves or we rope in some associate who has expertise in
certain areas. Yeah. Okay. So what are the main core areas that you support to the industry?
So the tagline of our company is the best of professional services in fact. So fact is finance, accounts, costing and taxation.
Okay.
So you name it and we can deliver.
That's great. That's fine. So can you share one or two real client stories where your expertise or the expertise of this Leeware also helped the client? What could be one or two examples that you have come across?
So not just the expertise, the way we can deliver, because the biggest advantage with Leeware was that we were multiple professionals who had come together for a cause. So I can share you one example. We had just reached the office one day and we got a call from a company in Baramati.
Okay.
It was a pretty large company. And the CFO of that company told us that there was an immediate requirement for a cost accountant, and whether we can come over to Baramati straight away. So me and one more colleague who was also a founder director, both of us practically boarded the next ST and went to Baramati. It was a straight transport bus that we used.
Okay.
So he told us that the problem was that they had a good cost accountant for a substantial long period, and he had decided to take a better opportunity.
Okay.
And it was the month of March. So it was a year ending. They were about to face the audit very soon. Okay. And there was no way that they could get a equally qualified and equally competent person immediately.
Correct.
So they said whether we can join the company, practically either of us. So we said that we are into practice. So joining a company as an employee was not going to happen. But then we thought till the time you get the right kind of resource, what we can do is I will spend 3 days here. My colleague will spend 3 days here. And we can take charge of your costing department.
Understood.
And whatever is expected out of the department, we can deliver. In fact, we did this for more than 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
something that started for maybe 3 months, the company liked it so much that they stopped actually looking out for a cost
full-time
accountant.
cost accountant.
But then it also affected the overall, because 3 days dedicated in Baramati.
Right.
So that was becoming a challenge. So over a period, we ourselves had a dialogue with them and thought that let us go slow. Of course, my association with the company still continues. We have been doing multiple assignments.
Okay.
And that one assignment opened the doors for us for many other assignments as well. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. So that was very interesting story that you told. Any other story that you want to share, maybe from different fields?
So this kind of requirement is there practically for any company.
Okay.
And there is a scarcity of good qualified professionals.
Okay.
So
that includes cost accountants. That's what you.
Cost accountants, even chartered accountants.
Okay.
You don't get anyone overnight.
Right.
At the same time, training those resources and keeping them ready.
Correct.
Has worked well for us.
Okay.
So even today, there are multiple companies where we have been able to depute on these kind of professionals on a short periods, which takes care of their day-to-day requirements till the time some new professional joins them on a full-time basis.
Okay. Understood. Okay. What are some toughest challenges that you faced as a practicing cost accountant?
So as I already told you, I had no background, so that was the toughest challenge.
Getting into a new sector.
And at the beginning of the practice, typically what happens is right from the CEO of your firm till the peon of your firm, everything is you.
Everything has to be done by you.
So any problems you face on a day-to-day, it's you who has to solve that, and that problem need not be a professional problem as well.
Understood.
It can be computer related, it can be practically anything.
Understood.
So those kind of challenges keep on coming even today, but now the team is large, so these are taken care of. Yeah.
That's great. And so what skills helped you to grow faster than others in the same field?
So in fact, this was a matter of introspection. So over the years, I have introspected that there are many practicing cost accountant, chartered accountants. But then I would not talk about myself, but in general, why is it that certain firms tend to do well, or certain professionals tend to do well rather than the others?
Correct.
So what is that differentiation factor?
Yes.
Because as far as the qualification is concerned, everyone is equal.
Yes.
I have cleared the CMA exams. There are multiple other professionals around who have completed the CMA exams and are also in practice. So same with the CA course. So what my observation has been, what typical practitioners try to do is they try to focus on what is readily available to them.
Okay.
So in case of chartered accountants, the basic account writing jobs, the taxation related jobs and some audits is something which is available over the platter right on day one.
Correct.
That was never there for me.
Right.
Because the costing profession is such that the mandate of the government, especially in the 90s, was very minimal.
Right.
Cost audits were there at that time, but they were restricted to a very few companies.
Correct.
So that call I had taken already, that I am not getting into the statutory kind of practice
Costing
at all.
Okay.
So then what is it that the company wants? What is it that I want is one thing, but what is it that the company wants? If you focus on that, rather than you going to the company and telling them that this is my expertise, this is what I can do, you should go to them and tell them what is it that you want.
Correct.
And then try to match with your skill sets whether you can deliver.
Okay.
And be truthful to the company.
Right.
There are occasions when you know that this is something that you cannot deliver. So just tell them upfront. Company also appreciates that.
Understood.
And that has been my single observation, that any firm which has done this, addressing the pain point of the client, your practice grows.
Understood. Yeah, so that's what you exactly hit the bottom line. Understand the pain point and then deliver it accordingly. Okay, I think you were also, there is a Dubai connection here.
Yeah.
You had some job opportunities in Dubai in the past, right? You worked in Middle East?
So it was not exactly a job opportunity. So I had started my practice in 1996.
Okay.
And I had spent 3 long years and started to get some foothold here. That is when I got a very different kind of opportunity. It was a company which had multiple sub companies, so it was a group.
Okay.
And they had implemented a ERP within that group.
Okay.
Same ERP across all those companies.
Okay.
The only thing is that the periods in which those implementations were done were different,
Okay.
and the way they had implemented it was different.
Okay.
So they were looking out to set up a team which can look at various aspects and try to standardize the way ERP has been implemented across the board.
Okay.
Now, as a practitioner, I had zero exposure to any kind of ERP at that time. This was in 1999, end of 1999.
Okay. Okay.
So that I told them upfront that I have zero experience of any ERP. Forget about your ERP. So they said that we don't want someone who is experienced in ERP. We are just looking for a cost accountant who has some exposure as to how the costing function, how the management accounting function
works,
and the data analytics works in a company.
Okay.
Similarly, they had also hired a chartered accountant to look at the financial and other aspects.
Okay.
And there was a commercial guy as well. So it was a team of 3. And we went about looking at various companies and identifying which are the best practices being followed by individual companies.
Okay.
And what all practices can be replaced by the best practices of the other firm.
Okay.
So that experience of about 2.5 years went a long way in helping me build my career later.
Okay.
Because I got first hand in working on a ERP, and not just working on a ERP, the business side of the ERP.
Okay.
So that was definitely, in fact, when I decided to take this up, I was in a catch-22 kind of situation.
Yeah.
Because my practice was already 3 years old. I had just started getting some good clients,
right.
and leaving that and going to the Middle East and trying to do something altogether different.
Right.
So that's when, as I said, I had a few friends. So I approached one friend. I told him that this is so whether you can take charge of my practice and ensure that whatever I'm doing right now, the show you need not grow that practice.
Correct.
But
just
at least till the time I'm not around.
Okay.
And in fact, after I completed this stint in the Middle East, I also took up one more similar assignment in Egypt.
Okay.
So I spent about a couple of months in Egypt as well,
okay.
on a very similar kind of assignment, but on a different ERP.
Okay. Okay.
So the end result was that one, exposure to the global markets, exposure to the MNCs outside India, and the ERP exposure.
Okay.
So it definitely helped me a lot in growing my practice back here.
Correct. And I'm sure that must be also financially rewarding. So that
financially rewarding, yes, but see, these kind of assignments you get rewarded if you work long time.
Right.
Typically, what happens is when you go for a short period,
correct,
the cost of setting up your basic needs in a place itself is high.
Correct.
So the break even works out after at least 1 year.
Correct.
And I was back after 2.5 years. So financially, not really, but yes, experience-wise,
exposure-wise, it was helpful. Okay, that's great. So let's understand about your role in CMA Institute. You are president of Institute of Cost Accountants of India. You are chairman at the Western region. So we want to know exactly how was your actively involvement into this institute, and what was the journey like?
Okay, so actually after I came back from the Middle East, I had started interacting with the local chapter over here.
Okay.
And I used to participate in a lot of their programs. I started in the organizing committee and all those things.
Okay.
So that is when a good opportunity came to me that whether I would like to contest for the election of the Western India Regional Council. This was in 2007.
Okay.
So I gave it some thought. I said that now practice is well set. So maybe I can spend some time for the institute as well.
For the institute.
So
okay.
that's how I 2007. I contested the Western India Regional Council elections. I got elected.
Okay.
2007 to 11, I was on the region, and in 10-11, I was the chairman of the region.
Okay. Okay.
So That was pretty quick rather. Normally this doesn't happen. You spend the first term in the council just to understand the stuff, and maybe in the second term you get some chance to get some position somewhere. So I would call myself lucky as far as the Western region is concerned. And then 2011 I contested the Central Council. I got elected there as well.
Great.
So 11 to 15 I was on various committees of the Central Council. And 15 to 19 I was a senior council member. So 18-19 I was the president of the institute.
I mean that's one of the great achievement, I'll say. As far as me being a CMA student, I understand what it takes to reach there, sort of. So what changes have you seen in the institute, and mainly also on the curriculum side over the years? I mean, over like 90s till now in 2025, 26. So it's almost like yours in 35 years era.
So practically a lot of things have changed. The demand from the industry has also changed, and so has our course.
Correct.
So just I will take a minute extra over here. So the institute was formed way back in 1944 in fact.
1944.
That was when the Second World War was going on, and the background of the institute was that the contracts of manufacture of the arms and ammunitions were given to companies based on cost plus. So they needed someone who was trained in costing, who can certify the cost.
It's just sorry to interrupt, but cost plus existed in 1940s. That's what we are saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's how the institute was formed. It came under the Act of the Parliament as a formal institute in 1959. But almost till I would say 2007, 8, 9, 10. It was the Institute of Cost and Works Accountants. So the focus was always on the manufacturing side, the product costing, and that kind of stuff. After that, there were very drastic and fast-paced changes in the institute. The curriculum changed, the name of the institute changed from Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India to Institute of Cost Accountants of India.
Cost accountants.
The members of the institutes are now called as CMAs, that is the Cost and Management Accountants. A lot of focus is now given on the management accounting side, the management advisory side, analytics. Even the SAP ERP training is being given to the students these days. Introduction to AI, various kinds of AI, how AI can be used for day-to-day. All that stuff has. So last 10 years have been pretty fast. Especially after 2010, I would say.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Just to understand from the CMA studies point of view, how important it is to get the industry exposure for the CMA students. I mean, before really they get into job, maybe.
So I would say that it's extremely important. Wherever I go on the students forum in the institute, I always propagate that you should have at least 2 years of experience before you qualify. I'm telling before you qualify. After you qualify is a different thing altogether. And so the institute also conducts placements. So every 6 months the exams take place, and the results, once they are out, placement is conducted by the institute. And what I have observed is in the placements, whoever gets the job, there is a clear differentiation between someone who is a fresher with practically no experience and someone who is also a fresher but with some experience, either with a practicing cost accountant or in the industry. You can say that the salaries that are offered grow multifold. So definitely, of course, the institute also has introduced 15 months of mandatory training. But my advice to all the students has always been that don't just do that training as a tick mark, that unless that training is complete, you cannot appear for the final last group. So keep that aside. You have to be getting into the groove by the time you pass out the CMA exams. That's what I have always been propagating.
Right. Again on the CMA career related questions. So for someone who doesn't know, how would you explain what CMA actually does? I mean, there will be the audience who may not be really from the costing background, not from the management accounting, they may not be also from the accounting and finance background. So just to have everybody understand what exactly CMA does.
So the basic profile of a CMA or the degree of a CMA is basically, you can call a specialization in the basic accounting field. So you have the accounts as a field, and then you have specializations in that.
Correct.
So CMAs are specialists in cost and management accounting. So apart from the basic accounting, we are trained to analyze the figures, to work out the cost of not just the products but the services as well.
Okay.
To present those costs to the management.
Correct.
And be a part of the management decision making process.
Decision making.
So in fact, the tagline of the institute is, behind every successful business decision there is always a CMA. And we take pride in that tagline, primarily because it's not just a tagline. The inputs which are given by a CMA are grassroots level inputs.
Correct.
So what are the various costs that are incurred, what are the costs that can be controlled, and it's not only about the cost. So the role of a CMA starts right from the basic budgeting exercise to the analysis of the actual results, the variance analysis.
Correct.
And then giving the inputs to the management on various different fronts.
Got it.
So that's the CMA course. Once you do, will train you for that.
Great. So what are the top career opportunities for CMA students?
So career opportunities are multiple. So if you look at it, there are basically only two choices. You either start your own practice,
correct,
or you get into a job. Now practice has n number of things that you can do. Yes. So it's a different topic altogether, I would say. We can have one separate session on what are the various avenues of practice.
Correct.
But as far as the service is concerned, there are multiple things. Like I already explained, basic cost and management accountant in a manufacturing industry is the required for any company.
Any manufacturing.
Any manufacturing company. But as I said, over the last 10-15 years, since 2010, the institute has developed the curriculum in such a way that they are now trained into various other aspects of business as well.
Okay.
So we have now a lot of our cost accountants are in the service sector as well.
Okay.
In the ERP implementations also, a lot of IT companies come and take up fresh cost accountants in the ERP implementation space.
Okay. For the functional consultant.
For the functional consultancy and the implementations. Even in banks, especially in the credit analysis, the role of CMA is seen very positively by the bankers as well. In fact, in the last placement, one of the banks in Pune picked up as many as 50 cost accountants.
My God.
And they wanted more, but there were no cost accountants available. So, like that, there are multiple, I mean, each industry now requires a cost accountant.
Correct. Yeah. And not necessarily cost accountant should only work in cost accounting. They can also be part of...
understanding the business is the prime for a cost accountant.
Correct.
For an accountant, it is not required.
Right.
Because based on the basic fundamental principles, debit, credit, you understand, you can do the accounting of any company.
Yes.
But for cost and management accounting, that is not so. You have to understand the business, only then you can get into the details of the business, and you can correlate the data with the actual how the business is being functioning.
Okay, one question on different options for the students. CMA versus CA versus MBA finance.
So, in fact, I already answered this in a few of earlier questions. So, basically, the expertise of all the three professions, or the third one is not a profession, a professional course. MBA is mainly into the management side.
Okay.
And they train basic graduates into becoming a management to get into the management of individual companies. So their focus is on the overall analytics and the presentation skill sets, whereas chartered accountants expertise is in the basic accounting, auditing, or the finance function. Cost and management accountant is into the costing and management accounting side.
Correct.
So all three are different use cases as far as the industry is concerned, I would say.
Right. Yeah. And then maybe student should choose based on his
interest. I would say, because if you look at it, if you have done MBA from a good management school, chartered accountants and cost accountants, I would call them, all will have good roles to play in the industry.
Got it. Okay, is CMA more valuable in corporate roles or in practice?
That will depend. So as far as practice is concerned, we can add more value in the MSME sector, because that is where perhaps they cannot afford, I would not call afford, but they are not very keen in employing a full-time CMA or a CA on their payroll. For reasons that they don't feel that there is a continuous need.
Right.
So that is where we can add more value to the MSME sector as a practitioner. Of course, our client base also includes large MNCs and large companies as well.
Correct.
But the critical value addition, if you ask me, is there in the MSME sector.
Okay.
Now, as far as corporates are concerned, employee a cost accountant who is there in the corporate sector, there are a lot of avenues. In fact, there are multiple cases where the cost accountants have reached the top of the organization, including government organizations. Companies like ONGC had a CMA who was the CMD. There are cases of a couple of banks wherein the managing director or the CEO of the bank was a cost accountant. There are multiple such cases. In fact, the current CFO of Reliance Jio is a cost accountant. So
not necessarily is restricted to cost accounting. You can still ladder.
Correct.
You can still go ahead in finance.
You can have multiple roles to play as a cost and management accountant in any organization.
Yeah, and I think in practice also probably the more scope has increased as compared to what was there in the past for cost accounting.
So over the last 15 years, definitely a lot of new avenues have come in.
Correct.
The entire concept of cost audit has undergone substantial change, especially in 2013-14.
Okay.
New avenues like the internal audit have opened up for cost accountants.
Okay.
These provisions have come in the Companies Act itself.
Okay.
So we are equally eligible to conduct internal audits. GST has a specific role to play for cost accountants. There are multiple provisions where cost accountants is specifically mentioned in the GST law.
Correct.
And then there are ancillary, I would not call them exactly ancillary, they are value added roles like the insolvency professional or the valuation profession, which are over and above the CMA profession, wherein also a lot of practice can be done. Parallelly with the CMA practice.
Right, that's great. So something on again for the CMA and the finance professions and the future. So new technology and AI, automation, everything is coming in picture nowadays. How it is impacting CMAs?
So it's the talk of the town that whether AI is going to replace all of us, right? Now, if you ask me personally, that's not going to happen. I will give you a actual case. Maybe 25-30 years ago, when the advent of ERP was there, there was definitely a talk that a lot of jobs will go away because ERP is going to do majority of the things which currently are manually being done. That has never happened. Only the kind of job which the basic accountants or cost accountants were, or anyone in the company was doing, got another tool of ERP. And with the use of ERP, in fact, the companies have grown multifold and the jobs have also grown multifold. I don't see any jobs being taken away by ERP. Now, as far as the AI is concerned, it's slightly different. I appreciate that. But if you look at it, AI is definitely going to be a tool for productivity, improving the productivity. You can do better analytics using the AI, but then there will be someone who has the knowledge of AI and also has the knowledge of basic cost and management accountancy, who will be able to use that AI in the right way to get maximum gains out of that AI. So someone who is just not ready to adapt and get that new skill set, learning various tools under AI, those kind of persons could face problems.
Correct.
But someone who is ready to adapt, I see better job opportunities and better career growth path for them.
Okay, so good news. I mean, there shouldn't be any impact of AI. It should be really helping to.
As far as the cost and management accountancy profession, I don't see any
challenge
impact on the job scenario. In fact, as I said, it will only add value to the.
Correct. So you are also into valuation consultancy. What do you see the future of valuation and consulting in India?
Okay, so I will touch base on the consulting part first. So last 4-5 years, the current government has been trying to promote multidisciplinary partnerships.
Okay.
So the idea of the current government is that the Indian practitioners should build large practices, large firms which can compete with the big four of the world.
Right.
And government has already done a lot of steps in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely going to happen. How soon is difficult for me to comment, but it's going to happen anytime.
Right.
And once that happens, and with the government support, of course, the government will have to give some additional benefits to these kind of firms to grow. But that is going to happen. And once that happens, the entire practice, so individualistic practice is not going to be there. You have to have, so something that we started in 2004, Levare Consultants, is exactly what is the thought process of the government today.
Okay.
And once that happens, no one needs to form these kind of private limited companies for professionals to come together. In fact, not just the three basic professions.
Correct.
Rest of the professions like the engineers or the architects or the lawyers also can join the same firm.
Join the firms.
And multiple services can be offered.
Yeah.
Now coming to your valuation part, it's a new profession, I would say. The new act, I mean, under the IBBI, the valuation profession was given wings only in 2017.
Okay.
And the government had mandated that compulsory training has to be taken by any aspiring valuer professional.
Mm-hmm.
And once that training is done, government conducts or the IBBI conducts examination, and there is certain minimum passing marks for that.
Okay.
There is negative marking.
Okay.
After which you can be a qualified registered value. You have to register yourself with the IBBI. They have a lot of strict norms.
Okay.
A lot of prior experience is required. Someone who is a fresher cannot just take up the valuation profession.
Okay.
So all that is taken care of, and then there is annual training also, minimum training, which also is required to be.
Okay.
Now valuation as a profession is already new, but within the profession also the lot of things are improvising over the years. So what I can clearly see, typical valuation of plant and machinery, land and building, or the business valuation, DCF based models for business valuations, they will stay, but more focus will have to be given on valuation of intangible assets, because over the period a lot of companies are creating their own IP.
Right.
A lot of intangible assets are being generated by various companies, even manufacturing companies.
Correct.
So how do you value that? So that is it's already there, but more focus can possibly thought of on valuation of intangibles rather than the tangible assets over a period.
Yeah. And of course, probably with more mergers and acquisitions coming in picture, it will have also impact on the goodwill and the valuation coming along with it. Okay, so something again for the students here. CMA, CES, these are tough exams, and few pass, few have to reappear, few leave their course in between, So what really differentiates students who clear CMA comfortably from those who couldn't clear it, What could be the differentiating factors? So
one clear differentiating factor is you have to differentiate between your basic graduation. So someone who is doing, say, BCom, the expectations from the examiner's point of view, when a paper comes in front of him for checking, what he expects and what a professional examiner in a professional course expects are two completely different things.
Right. Okay.
And typically most of the students are undertaking the graduation and a professional course parallelly.
Correct.
So the methodology of answering the questions in a basic graduation level exam and in a professional exam are going to be different, and the sooner the student understands that, his chances of his or her chances of cracking the professional exam grow multifold.
Okay.
So that is one. Of course, as a professional examination, you have to focus on what is expected out of the question. You don't have to write 4 pages to sail through. You can write simple 4 sentences and still achieve the same result.
Right.
So that kind of a focus reply is definitely expected, and your analytical skill sets are definitely tested.
Right.
Rather than just the theoretical part of it.
Okay.
In a professional exam.
Yeah. I mean, so that's how probably students can approach and clear their exams.
Right.
But a lot of students sometimes they couldn't, they generally don't get through these exams, and they feel like a setback or delays. How should one handle that?
Psychologically, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Because with each passing exam, that pressure builds, both on the domestic front as well as your own self. I've been appearing and I'm just not cracking. So for them, I would just state one thing. In fact, they are better. They have been revising the same thing over and over again. So someone like me who has cracked it in the first attempt, my knowledge of the content of those textbooks is definitely much lower than someone who has gone over and over. So over a long term, that can also be an advantage.
Correct.
That he is very thorough. It's just that he has not been able to crack the examination.
Correct.
Right. So at the same time, the frustration does set in, and that is where different career opportunities they have to think about it, because all these professional examinations are definitely very difficult, though they can be cracked with proper training and proper mindset. But if you look at it, someone who enrolls for any of the professional exams, so if 100 enroll, entrance, intermediate, finals, all put together, the person finally qualifying are less than 30%.
Correct.
So which means 70% who enroll do not actually
get through.
But at the same time, I must tell them that at least they are gaining the professional knowledge, and that knowledge is never wasted.
Correct.
You can use that knowledge in your job. Okay, you might find it difficult to get the mid-tier level jobs because you are not qualified.
Yeah.
But once you get into an organization, and if you are able to demonstrate that you already have the knowledge, though not the degree,
you can still get the opportunity.
You can still get good opportunities within the organization. So they have to keep themselves positive. That's all.
It's all mindset.
Them, yeah.
Right. Okay. One for the young professional. What are the top 5 skills every finance professional must have?
You are talking only about finance professions.
Yeah, only finance professional as of now. More relevant.
Yeah. So you have to be, see, the finance profession also has been continuously upgrading itself. A lot of new things are coming every day practically. New concepts, the standards. So updating yourself with the latest knowledge is something which is must.
Okay.
So you have to stay relevant. Unless you stay relevant, and you can stay relevant only if you are aware of what is happening around you.
Right.
So once you qualify as a cost accountant or a chartered accountant, that's not the end of it. That's just the beginning of it.
Okay.
That only is the entry part to getting into an organization or into practice. After that, how well you progress within the organization, how well you develop your practice is going to depend on 2-3 major aspects. Number one is going to be staying relevant, updating yourself with the various new upcoming tools and techniques of the profession, keeping yourself updated with what is happening in the world economy and all that stuff also. So today the war is going on in the Middle East. How is it going to impact my company? Unless I get a sense of that, I will not be in a position to advise the management, because the data analytics and all is fine, but how is the external environment affecting is that understanding that is also very important.
Right.
And for that, I would strongly recommend that don't depend on the YouTube or Insta Reels. You read the newspapers on a daily basis. At least the financial newspapers.
Okay.
So that will give you a lot of insight in what is happening around you.
Correct.
And finally, something for the professionals, I would say, all the three institutions focus on excellent curriculum, excellent knowledge-based professional examinations.
Right.
Focus is also required on your presentation skills, which the postgraduate MBAs are much better at.
Right.
So knowledge is not enough. You have to present yourself.
Correct.
So that is something you'll have to develop, and that development, of course, all the professional courses also have their soft skills relating programs of their own.
Correct.
But then some things you have to do on your own.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. One important questions mainly for those who want to get into practice. How important it is to have networking in the field, from the practice or from the entrepreneurship point of view?
Absolutely. Unless you are well networked, no one is going to know that you are into practice apart from your close friends. So your potential client should know.
Correct.
And he should know not only based on the LinkedIn post that you are making, but also one-to-one contacts and developing your network. So it takes a lot of time in doing that.
Right.
So initial 3 to 5 years of your practice, you have to spend more time on the field, trying to attend as many programs as possible.
Right.
You can attend the Chamber of Commerce programs, try and meet maximum people, try to understand what the industry is actually looking for.
Right.
And naturally, when you go there, you try to meet maximum number of people and stay in touch with them.
Correct.
So unless you do that, practice is difficult.
Right. And when someone should really start their own practice? If somebody is in job now,
it's a very difficult question to answer. But one thing I will definitely tell you: someone who gets into a job and someone who is habituated to seeing X amount getting into his bank account on the first of every month.
Correct.
Leaving that and starting his practice is very difficult.
Okay.
So you either have to do it at the beginning of your career, or at a stage when
you're financially
absolutely settled.
Okay.
Doing it in between is going to be very difficult.
Correct. Understand. Okay, coming back, you're handling so many clients, so many employees, a lot of assignments, plus your work around the institutes and all this stuff. How do you balance your personal and professional life? It must be taking a lot of time giving to all these requirements, plus the family is there to, they must be also seeking your time.
Yeah.
How do you balance, and do you also have many hobbies? Of course, we mentioned about trekking and stuff.
So someone told me, in fact, this is not my own, someone told me that a busy man has time for everything that he wants to do. So it's only about planning your schedule.
Okay.
Ensuring that if I want to do something at a particular date, how do I ensure that the rest of the activities fall in place so that those dates are free?
Okay.
So you mentioned trekking. So I have been extensively trekking in not just the Himalayas. I also did the Mount Kilimanjaro and a couple of treks outside India and Nepal.
Okay.
Outside the Himalayas, if I might call. So at least 2 weeks every year I spend in the mountains. And at that time I am completely cut off from the rest of the world. But that is the time that when I get some time for myself. So that is also the time when I can plan a lot of things for the next year.
Okay. Upside for yourself.
Every place. So planning things for my family, planning things for my own office.
Got it.
And so that's it. Time management is the key to everything. And if you do that right, you have time for everything.
That's great. Okay, quick rapid fire for us. One skill every CMA must have.
Communication and presentation.
One book that changed your thinking?
That must be Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Corporate job or entrepreneurship?
For me, it's always entrepreneurship, no doubt. Yeah.
Biggest myth about CMAs?
The biggest myth is the CMA profession is just about costing, which is just one small portion of the organization. It's not so. Practically, a CMA can get into a lot of multiple things, right from budgeting, tracking those budgets, variance analysis, data analytics, management advising, and advising the management to take the right decisions.
Right. Yeah. And as you mentioned a few examples, they also become CMDs and CFOs.
So there are multiple things that a qualified CMA can do.
Okay, so on some closing points, your message to aspiring CMA students?
Okay, so even though I have covered a lot of different aspects, I would say that you have to stay curious. You have to be curious about everything. You have to ask questions. Even though you sound foolish, don't be scared that if I ask this kind of question, people will think. Don't bother about that. So stay curious, stay foolish, I would say. Keep asking questions throughout your career, and of course stay relevant.
Right, that is very important. Okay, that was wonderful, Amit. And if any students or any professional wants to connect with you, how should they connect with you, learn few things from you?
So I'm available for the students community anytime. I'm there on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So someone can touch base with me on LinkedIn also. I don't mind spending a couple of hours every week for the students. They can come over to my office, which is here on Law College Road.
In Pune.
Any in Pune, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have multiple offices across India, but I am stationed in Pune. Everyone is welcome.
Yeah, and probably we can also display your LinkedIn link or email ID and stuff, so that people want to get in touch with you and seek some guidance.
I'm available for the students anytime. I mean.
Yeah, and if somebody wants to spend more time, maybe they can join Trek with you, so that
they can. We get lots and lots of time.
Lots of time there. Absolutely. So thank you, Amit. It was really wonderful to get a lot of insights from you on the career for CMAs. Mm-hmm. I'm sure those students who are pursuing commerce and accounting and finance field, it should be a good input for them to listen to this kind of podcast and understand and listen to the experts like you who are coming on this podcast and giving their insights. So thank you again, and see you again for a few more podcasts.
Sure. Nice talking to you, and thank you for having me here. Yeah.
Thank you, Amit.
Okay. Bye.